Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Storytime with Mikey, the next chapter. This episode is a bit different than my normal videos for this series because this is for my grandfather's birthday, which is on July 31st. And I want to talk about how much he meant to me. Now, to give you some context, it's not my biological grandfather on my mother's side. My mother's father was a man my grandma was dating in the 70s, a man who was deeply on the drugs way back then, and very bang zoom tinted to the moon with the women. And that relationship, of course, didn't last much longer after my mother was born. And in the 80s, my grandma met a man named Michael Allen, and they got married, and they were still married when I was born in 1995. So he was the only person I really could call grandpa, or Pawpaw, as I called him, because my father's father, my grandpa on my father's side, died when my father was just a kid. So could not meet my grandfather on his side either. So Michael Allen was the only person I really knew as a grandfather. And he was very much like my best friend. And for the longest time, he was like a father to me because my father wasn't always in the picture. Not until after my grandfather had died. And he passed away in 2010. So this is the 15th year I have spent without my grandfather. And it's not really been easy, especially when he died. I was 14 at the time. And he spoiled me rotten. Put it that way. If I wanted something, he gave it to me. He's the reason why I'm so fat, because he got me hooked on fast food, because he himself was very overweight, and we would always go out to eat 3 to 5 times a day, every day of the week. So he really got me addicted to fast food and fattening foods. So all this is because of him and my poor willpower. But he was a wonderful person. He had a great sense of humor. He liked to have fun. He liked to eat. And he always took us on vacation, a whole family, or at least as many as he could, to Myrtle Beach every summer. And one summer down there, we went to a place called Barefoot Landing. We went there every year to Barefoot Landing. It's at Myrtle Beach. It's a boardwalk shopping area with restaurants and shops and everything. I would always go there for the Build-A-Bear and the magic shops, because I loved the magic shops when I was a kid. I don't know why. And it's a boardwalk. It's made of wood. It's got wood side railings like you would like on a wooden porch. And you could tell I've got a big head. I had a big head when I was a kid. And I don't know why I did it, but I did it. I smooshed my head through the wooden railing on the side of the boardwalk. I mean, I know why I did it, but I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. But I wanted to see a better look at the fish, because it's a boardwalk, so it's over top. Well, mostly a boardwalk, so it's over top of a lake, which is full of huge fish and some freshwater crocodiles. And I wanted to see the big fish, and my head was stuck. And I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I could just, in my mind, if it went in, it should easily just as that easy. It should come out just as easy. So I went to get out, and my head was stuck. Fucking stuck. Could not get out. So I'm freaking out. There's a man over here, I don't know who he was, laughing his ass off because I'm a little kid whose head is stuck in the side of the boardwalk. And my grandfather sees that I'm panicked and comes over with all his might, grabs me by my ankles, and just pulls me out, thankfully without breaking my neck. But he pulls me out. I got some scrapes on my ears from the wood, but that's the least of my concerns. And I was very stupid as a kid. I openly admit, as a kid, I was very stupid. I didn't think as clearly as I do now at 29 years old. And when I was a kid, my uncle was married to a woman who worked at an ice cream parlor that would close at around 11 o'clock at night. And my grandpa would always go and pick her up from work. And oftentimes he would take me with him, and he would always make sure that she would make me a milkshake before she closed down for the night, so I would have something to drink on the way back home. Always wanted to give me something unhealthy and full of sugar late at night. And he was also kind of my personal savior, as everyone here knows who's watched the old Storytime with Mikey and this new sequel series. My grandmother was not a good person. Well, she's still alive. She's not a good person. She was very abusive to me, physically and emotionally. And this was even going on when he was still alive, but not to the degree that it was later on. As a kid, when I was a kid, she just had a very bad temper. And kids being kids, I once took a piece of paper as such, crumpled it up, into a paper wad ball like we all did, and I tossed it, and it bounced off the back of her head. Not the biggest thing in the world to do. "You son of a fucking bitchin' bastard," said my lovely grandmother, and snatched me by my ankle with great force, to the point that I cried out in pain, and my grandfather had to pull her away from me and tell her to leave me the hell alone. "Learn to leave that fucking kettle alone." And whenever she got mad at me for the smallest thing, even something like that, sure, it's not a nice thing to do, but you're not going to injure someone from a little boop in the back of the head with a piece of paper. Whenever she went off on me for the smallest thing, she would always take me out to get me away from her. We would either go out to eat, go play at the park, go shopping, just something to take my mind off of things for a couple of hours. And then there was one night I was in their bedroom, and I had a cup of juice. I spilled the juice, and it stained the carpet. And my grandma got so angry with me, she refused to let me sleep in my own bedroom upstairs in that house, because I lived with my grandparents from the time I was 5. So my grandpa let me sleep downstairs, and he joined me. He took the couch, I took the love seat, so that way he could make sure I was safe and I had someplace to sleep, since she was refusing staunchly to not let me in my own bedroom. And I guess I could also take the opportunity in this video to say that that she's the focal point of my next poetry book that I'm putting out. It's called Raised by Bruises. And the poems are about self-hate, something that you learn to do when you're told everything is your fault, and about my abuse that she put me through, verbal abuse, physical abuse. It's my longest poetry book I've written so far. This one actually includes pictures in between poems. So I put a lot of work into this next book, because these are the most emotional and hard poems I've ever had to write. So I'm actually very excited for this next book. Trauma does a lot of things, but I'll never forget the times that my grandfather stood up for me and kept me safe. And after he died, my grandma went batshit crazy, even more so. And I was still living with her because for some reason I didn't think to go back to my mother's house, because my grandparents took me when I was 5, because my mother had her own issues with alcohol and gambling. And even after she got clean, I was so used to living with them, and because I loved him so much, I didn't want to go back with her. And even after he died, I stayed with my grandma because she would be by herself. Maybe I felt bad for her because she would be by herself. There would be no one there to take care of her, to look after her, to make sure she was okay. Even though she never gave a rat's ass about my personal well-being. But today, this video was for his birthday. He was born in 1958. He passed away in 2010. And I think me being 14 at the time and me having autism and being babied for so long from him made me assume that hospital visit would be like the other hospital visits he had. Because he went into the hospital a lot because of his health, but he always came back home. So I had the false impression that he would come back from this one as well, and he didn't. Because growing up, I thought the world was sunshine and rainbows. I thought everyone was my friend. I thought everything was good. I thought people don't do certain things. I thought everyone was a good person. And then you go out into the real world, and it's shit. It's a horror film in real life. Yeah. But thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know what you all thought down below. And I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.